On Inspire today, I meet a Ghanaian playwright, author, and motivational speaker. He started his career in the late 70s as an artistic director with a theatre group which performed in schools and churches. He later transitioned to commercial theatre in the late 90s, which led him to abandon his certificates. He is the creative head and lead writer at Roverman Productions and has written over 42 plays for the stage. He is also the author of the Rover Monthly Report, an inspirational magazine, and has written 2 novels, The Deal and The Perfect Couple. He has been married to his wife Florence since 1983, and the couple have raised many children together despite not having biological children. He is Uncle Ebo Whyte. Uncle Ebo Whyte, it's a pleasure to have you on Inspire. So thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
So for me, having you here is a really big deal because you're the connoisseur of the Ghanaian stage, I would say. And many people say as a playwright, as a director with so many plays. The theatre is such a big part of my journey.
Okay.
Because from as young as I can remember, I had an obsession with TV, with film, and first got into theatre, I think around 15, and at age 16, I got to perform as part of a summer company, lyric theatre summer company in the UK, youth theatre, and I've been in love since.
Yeah.
It's part of me. So I wanted to ask you, playwright, what drew you to it?
You know, when you give your background to theatre, it just occurs to me that once theatre gets into your blood, it never leaves.
That's true.
And it never leaves because theatre is part of all of us. Even those who say, I can't act, they act on a daily basis. One of my joys in life is to watch 2 friends talking, and you see pure drama. And he said, and can you imagine he said this to me? And things like that. So we all dramatize.
That's true.
We all dramatize. I said that some people recognize that, we can use that also to impact society. We can use that thing. That is in it. That is normal with all of us to try to reach out and communicate and send across some messages. So that has been it. I think I realized that I'm one of those people who had been gifted in a number of areas. So I could do all kinds of things, but none of them makes me come alive more than theatre. And so with time, I felt myself being led. There was a voice in my mind that kept saying, work in the area of your gifting, not of your training. We all go to school to train for something, so we have certificates.
And you went to school, you studied statistician.
I studied statistics and then also studied accounting on my own. But my natural gift and what comes very natural to me is writing, telling stories. And when that challenge came, work in the area of the gifting, I threw my certificates away and decided, I'm going to do this. Either I succeed at it or I'm prepared to start trying.
A friend of mine says that everybody hears these voices in one way or another. Like, sometimes you don't understand it. It's something, you hear it over and over. It's a feeling, it's whatever. But not everybody heeds to it.
That's
Not because sometimes they don't want to, because life sometimes gets in the way. Or maybe because I can't now because I have kids. I can't now because I just got married. I can't now because I'm too young. Whatever the voice is. What makes people stand out is the ones who heed to the voice, even in the face of fear.
Yeah.
What was it about the voice telling you to follow into this, what your passion is. Why, like so many people who, not because they don't want to, but they don't, there's a fear, there's whatever. What was it about you that made you like walk into your purpose? What was it about that voice?
I think with me, time, because I wrote and produced my first play in 1974 into 75. By 77, I knew this is what I wanted to do. But there was no template.
Yeah.
There was no way.
In Ghana,
At that time. We did it as a hobby. So then you had to find a way of putting food on the table. And then you did this on the side. By the 80s, I was beginning to hear this voice. But again, I couldn't be bothered too much about it because I had so much to do. I was working in senior management levels in all kinds of industries. And so I was having fun there, even though I knew, okay, this would always be there. And it was not until the 90s that I felt, maybe let's give this thing a try. And then my first play, this was the first time I was trying to do this in response to the voice, as it were. I took a loan to produce it, and it took me 2 years to pay the loan.
The fact that you even took a loan is what I find interesting, because so many times, so many people wouldn't put that risk. People get a loan for a car, for a house, not for concerts, because in Ghana, theater is seen as well, it's changed now. But I'm sure back then your
not quite, but I'm cool with it, because if you study our concert party and the way they merge storytelling with songs, with dance,
beautiful.
It's unique and it is wonderful. And I think that they bequeath that to us, and it is up to us to now polish it, fine tune it, and then take it to the next level. And so I wear that badge with pride.
I love it.
I wear the concert. Your concert. Oh, yeah, I do concert, yes.
No, I love it, but it's just, I think most people may not understand why I'm saying this if you're not from this environment in theater, and how that concert was seen as a bit of fun, but I wouldn't want my son or my child to do it.
Because it was a realm for the uneducated,
yes,
the unsophisticated,
like football. Remember football? It was like those days. Football was like, okay, if you don't have nothing to, yes. Now when the millions started coming, kids, every parent is pushing their kids into football.
In fact, parents are now buying boots for their toddlers.
Go and bring the money home.
Go and bring the money.
No, but when you took that loan, were you worried that you could? Even it took you 2 years.
I was so confident that it was going to work because, one, I ascribed the voice to God.
Amen.
God has spoken to me, so this must work. So take the loan. Monday, over the weekend, the play happens. Monday, I should be able to pay it. And
because you can sell all the tickets, you obviously.
And then no one came. And I was devastated. So, you go through this whole thing of, did I hear the voice? Was I being led in this? And then you do what we all do. We go back into confessing every sin that you may have confessed 10 times before, and you add a few ones you've never done, just to cover all the bases and try to find out where am I in this. And it took me 2 years. Along the line, so it took me 2 years to recover, and to pay and to recover.
And you're still working, obviously, in these times.
Yes, I was then the financial controller of a financial institution. Then after that, after 2 years, I began to feel, something, let's try this again. And my second time, I sold the car I was using. I was using a brand new Skoda Octavia.
Hey, Skoda, you were not easy.
Octavia. Octavia. I was the first person to drive Skoda Octavia, to own Skoda Octavia in Ghana, because I was a brand manager for Skoda Octavia.
Ah, nice.
So I drove it as a way of letting people know what kind of car it was. And so I sold the car and to finance the production, and the car did not come back. Again, you go through that whole cycle.
When you say the car didn't come back, meaning you were not able to purchase it back? Or?
No, meaning the production did not work enough for us to be able to.
Okay, so
to get it back.
From a business level.
So it
with the
bombed.
company.
It bombed. It didn't work. It was my third production that I broke even.
1, 2,
3. The third one, I broke even. In other words, I put in a certain amount of X amount of money, and I got X amount of money back. Exactly.
And which is, sometimes that's all you need.
And I remember, that got me angry. I remember
Why?
When I counted the money, I threw the money away and said, God, what is this? If you won't bless me, don't bless me. Wow. I put in X and you give me X so you can sit in your heaven and say that you've done something. This is not going anywhere. Again, another 2 years later. But then I realized this is the way the Lord sometimes passes people through. You learn more from failure than you do from success. And so I had to ask hard questions. Why didn't this work? Why didn't this work? And then I realized, okay, publicity-wise, it wasn't good enough.
Marketing.
I hadn't gotten that right. I hadn't learned to engage corporate Ghana into sponsorships, and that kind of thing. So those were the things. The venue, I was playing it too safe. I remember along the line, the Spirit of God said, if you create a big enough playing field, the big boys will come and play.
The big boys will come and play.
If you create a big enough playing field, the big boys will come and play.
I'm going to stop you there. This is Inspire, and I'm speaking with playwright, author, Uncle Ebo Whyte. If you create a big enough playing field, the big boys will come. We're going to take a quick break, but make sure you come back and join us for more on Inspire.
The people near you, close to you, who treat you not as a celebrity, they may be happy for you, but they know you as a human being. They are more interested in you as a human being. What destroys stars is that they get to the point where they now appreciate those who receive them as celebrities more than those who see them as human. Because there's no flattery in somebody seeing you as a human being. Because none of us is as wonderful as our public persona suggests.
Welcome back to Inspire. I'm speaking with playwright and author and many other things, but we'll just stick to those two for now. Uncle Ebo Whyte. Just before the break, you were talking about hearing God telling you that, initially your plays had smaller venues, but that important sentence that you shared of, God challenging you.
If you create a big enough playing field, the big boys will come and play.
And so when you heard that?
So then I went into the biggest performance hall in Ghana. National
Theatre?
Yeah.
Before that, where were you before?
I had been to the Art Center.
Okay.
Arts Center about 350.
That's Art Center in Kumasi?
No, Arts Center here.
In Accra. Okay.
In Accra. I had been to Christ the King Hall, about 650. I had been to the banquet hall, about 800. None of these had worked. Then this voice comes. And so I go to the National Theatre, 1,500 people. And I remember telling one of my friends, I'm going to the National Theatre to book a day. And he said, oh, Uncle, but why don't you try some smaller venues? Because even these small venues haven't worked. So let's look for a much smaller venue so that even if 200 or 150 people come, it will still seem like a full house.
Which makes it makes sense.
And
because,
I told him that I feel the Spirit of God leading me to the bigger place. I said, okay. So I go to the National Theatre to book a day, 6th of September, 2008. And as the guy is writing the date, the Spirit of God tells me, tell him you do 2 shows a day. And I hesitate, because all these other ones, we've done single shows, and they haven't worked. Now, 300-seater hasn't worked. 600-seater hadn't worked. 800-seater hadn't worked. Now you are at a 1,500-seater, and you are thinking of doing 2 shows.
It's almost like an audacity.
Then the Spirit of God said, tell him you'll do 2 shows. So I didn't have the courage to tell him I'll do 2 shows. So I said, excuse me, do you charge extra if someone wants to do 2 shows in a day? And he stopped writing and he looked at me and said, Uncle, but don't tell me you want to do 2 shows, because there's a good reason why nobody does 2 shows here. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
I said, you haven't answered my question. I asked, do you charge extra? He said, well, because we know it won't work, we'll give it to you for free. There will be no extra charge for it. I said, then please indicate that I'll do 2 shows.
Wow.
I said, please. So he indicated. And then the day comes. It was a Saturday. The Thursday leading to the day, all tickets for both shows were sold.
What was the name of that play?
Unhappy Wives, Confused Husbands.
Unhappy Wives,
Confused Husbands. The shows had been sold, because that was also another lesson I learned from the failure. Sell tickets in advance.
So
previously, we were selling tickets at the gate.
Door, okay.
Now sell tickets at the gate. So I had gone round, we had given tickets to all, and then the outlets began to call. There are people here looking for tickets. There are people looking for tickets. There are people looking for tickets. And on that Thursday, there were people driving through Accra. Because they go to one outlet and say, we are sold out here.
Go to another one.
We know
this
other place. So they drive there. Oh, we also sold out. Oh, but we hear this place. And they were just going round. And that was it. Then I learned another lesson. When God's time is up, he does show. And he acts extravagantly, when God's time is up. It doesn't mean he wasn't with me in the 2 failures. He was. Because I remember the second failure. I remember I was driving to the venue, and this weight descended upon me because we weren't getting the buzz in town about the show. So I knew, are we going to have another
because buzz, obviously, we know there's a buzz, people are coming, they're excited.
Yes, because there was no excitement about the show. So I remember pulling off the road and asking, Lord, I thought you have led me in this. What is happening? Why is does this thing not seem to be working? And then there's a book I keep, and it's an exercise I recommend to people. Whenever I read the Bible and a verse stands out for me, I note it in a notebook. So I had this notebook with all the verses that have stood out for me over the years. So on that occasion, out of this depression, I am by the road. I pick the notebook and flip it open. And I read a sentence from Isaiah 26. Whatever I have accomplished, you have done for me. Whatever I've accomplished, you have done for me. As soon as I read that, I just felt, you know something, this is not about me.
There's
This is
a higher
about God.
purpose, yes.
And he will do that which honors him. Let me go and do the best I can do, I need to do. And so with that renewed confidence, I drove on. So I knew that even the previous failures, he was with him. But the success of that is the first time a theater production has failed national theater.
Twice.
No, even once.
History.
Yes. No theater production had failed all 3 levels of the national theater before, even with free tickets. We were charging and we had sold. Come the day, we didn't sell 1 ticket at the gate because
Everything was
everything
sold
had
out.
been sold.
So would you say then that your previous attempts was God's preparation for you?
Yes, I would, definitely. And pruning. And also, humbling you. Because success can destroy you.
Now say that again. I think you need to say that again.
No, success can destroy you. People do not realize the burden that success is.
Yeah.
Now, the 3 failures drummed it deep into my mind, my soul, my spirit that this is not about you. So when the success of 6 September 2008 came, there was nothing like, yeah, I've made it. There was more, God is showing me mercy. God has been good to me. The glory was all to him and for him.
It's interesting. People in our industry, generally, and I'll speak personally from what I know, most of us are very self-gratifying people. I think there's that thing of most actors I know, we like the limelight. Hello, I'm not gonna lie, I do, and so many other people, because it's look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And most of the time, when there is a blessing on you, when God has given you that talent to do so, and people are glorifying your play, oh my God, Uncle Ebo, you're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing. As a human being, it is almost so easy. Let it go to your head that I'm great. Look, I've sold this out. How do you still take it back to God? And I think it's a lesson for me, it's a lesson for people watching, everybody else, especially those of us who are attracted to the limelight. And I never say that, look, to be honest, I'm not the best actor out there. I'm not the best. It is just by the grace of God that I've been able to do the kind of film productions I've done and traveled, and the theater productions. I don't take it for granted. But there's a part of me that when I get the chance, I do revel in the limelight a bit so much. How do you manage to just always put God first? Because I realized that about you. Even in your work that you do. So some of your plays you see, I always realize you put so much commentary with God. You're always teaching lessons, but there's no 2 ways about it. Your brand is God.
No, it is God. No, you take God out, there's no Ebo Whyte. It's as simple as that. But let me go back a little to why what you said is. People do not realize that the artist is an artist because he's flawed. And it is that flaw in us that makes us the artist. Every artist has this yearning for acceptance. Every artist has had to deal with rejection from his childhood. Every artist has had to do with feeling that I am out of the loop. I don't belong. Then suddenly you come into this area where you feel, hang on, I am at home here.
Yes.
And it feels so good. And you hug it so hard, you never want to let it go. Why? Because it is the only thing that soothes that crying pain within you, accept me, I am here, do you see me? So now, yeah, you see me, you know. So, and when an artist doesn't recognize that I am an artist because I'm a flawed human being, that is where he gets it mixed up. So that when people come all excited because they've seen
a portrayal or something you've done,
that is on you. You know, so you then get to the point where you confuse your performance with who you are. And that is where the self-destructive things come in, because it feels so high at the theater. It feels
applause.
So high after the performance, then you go home and there's no one.
You come down.
You drop. You don't come down. You drop. And that is where the alcohol comes in.
Yep.
That's where the drugs come in.
Yep.
That's where for the men, the prostitutes come in, because you want to get back there. But once you recognize that applause was for the performance, was for the gift, not for me.
There's a difference.
It's a very different ball game. Then in my case, because it took me through those years in the wilderness, the failure, you knew that everything here has come. You don't take it for granted. I've never taken it for granted when I see the theater feel that, yeah, I'm Ebo Whyte, they will come. Because I've had 3 failures in my background when I was still Ebo Whyte, they didn't come. So it is not automatic that you are Ebo Whyte, they will come. God shows me mercy, and he comes. And if you ask the cast members that I have worked with, I always push a philosophy down their throat. We work as if everything depends on work. And we pray as if everything depends on prayer. But we hold the two together. You work as if everything depends on work, and you pray as if everything depends on prayer. And when you step out there, you know they are applauding the gifts God gave me, not me. They don't even know me. And then what that does also for me is that I appreciate the personal relationships I have more than the fans. You know, many of us, as soon as we become big, then those close to us, we treat them like that. Because nobody knows you. You've never made the headlines. So stand aside. You know, everybody's celebrating. Oh, they are celebrating me. You never celebrate me. And you never celebrate me because, and you tell him, I'm not celebrating you because I know who you are. I love you. Not that persona. I know you.
Interesting.
And that is what matters to me. You matter to me, not the mask you wear.
Yes.
The people close to us, the people close to the star, you know, because you become a star, you become a celebrity. Everybody, you know, people make way for you. They open doors for you. People meet you and they lose their mind. You know, they go, you know, like you did with Paul.
Yes. Yes. I shared a story with him before we came on. Now, yes, when you see a celebrity, you're like,
Yeah, but a person who loves you is not celebrating the celebrity in you. It's celebrating the human in you. It's nurturing the human in you, and doesn't care whether you made the headlines or not. They are interested in, have you eaten? Did you get enough sleep? You know, no, wait. Why have you dropped that thing? Pick it up. You can't, you know, and you feeling, hey, I'm a celebrity. No, not in this house. No, please pick that up.
Of course.
Please pick that.
At least the real people that know you and love you will always bring you back down.
They nurture you, and they surround you so that you don't get lonely. The people near you, close to you, who treat you not as a celebrity, they may be happy for you, but they know you as a human being. They are more interested in you as a human being. What destroys stars is that they get to the point where they now appreciate those who receive them as celebrities more than those who see them as human. Because there's no flattery in somebody seeing you as a human being. Because none of us is as wonderful as our public persona suggests.
And right now, almost everybody has public persona because you don't even necessarily have to be quote unquote traditionally famous because people have online profiles with 100,000, 5,000
That's
people. Right. Your Facebook has a lot of followers, and you know people are more interested in their
and then you begin you begin to believe your own hype. And there is nothing more dangerous and damaging to you than believing in your own hype. And so the people near you, they nurture you and they bring you back to earth. I have people around me who can watch me perform, and after it, they can come to the back and say, "Are you okay?" So why? Yeah, I'm okay. So no. Be real to me. You are not. So because I saw you on stage. I know you. And
they can recognize something.
Something was not quite right. Do you want to talk about it? No, I don't. No, there's nothing wrong with me. Okay, look, I'm still here. Anytime you want to talk about it. You know, I was angry with the light guy. Yeah. Why did he?
So it's about the importance of keeping your real ones close, or keeping some genuine people or some people who know you to humble you. Is that what you?
It is, and because especially watch out for those who were with you when no one knew you. Because they will stay when all this is over.
Okay, let's take a break. You're watching Inspire. I'm speaking with Uncle Ebo Whyte. Make sure you don't go anywhere. We've got more coming right up.
Women are more intelligent than men, and this is not a Ebo Whyte saying. This is our culture saying. So if you don't know your culture, let me help you. You know, in the Ghanaian traditional context, the most powerful voice in the palace is not that of the king. It's that of the woman called Obahima, the queen mother. And when the council, the chief and his council, his advisors, cannot agree on any issue, we refer it to the Obahima. Why? Because we know she's wiser than all the men. She's wiser than all of them. And any man who recognizes the intelligence of women goes further. Because you are not threatened when the women in your life make suggestions or they ask questions. You open to it.
Inspire. I'm speaking with playwright and author Uncle Ebo Whyte, and he's sharing some wise gems. Now, I want to kind of switch up the conversation a bit. One of the things you have always been very vocal about with your plays, you speak very openly about, is the fact that you are a father to so many.
Yes.
You're a father to, your actors, to so many that you've groomed, you've trained. I mean, there are people who have careers because of you. Yeah. But you and your wife, Florence, have been married for almost 40 years.
Yes.
And you don't have biological children.
That's right, yes.
But 37 years, that's a long time.
Yeah.
You've been very vocal about it, and I love that. But the real struggle in our African society, when, you've been married for a year.
Yeah.
A family after 1 year, where's the babies? Yeah. After 2 years, where's the babies? After 3 years, let's move on to 5 years. Oh, maybe the woman's a witch or something, or that. This is a big deal in African society, and it's not something which is light.
No.
How have you and your wife managed, not even just because of what you may be personally dealing with, but with what society has thrown at you for almost 37 years without biological children?
I had a chat with my wife. We sat down and we talked. because we had sought all kinds of medical attention. It wasn't like, as if we didn't care. Every professional, every specialist in Ghana, we had seen together. We had done whatever it is they said we could do under the circumstances. And within that period, it's interesting. My wife and I prayed for 2 childless couples, and they had children.
Wow.
There were other strategies we gave to other couples who were struggling to have children, and using those strategies, they had children.
Oh.
Do you understand me?
Yes.
Within that period. So I said, you know something? I think God is telling us something. Let's be the difference. Let's be the difference. Let us dedicate our childlessness to God and see what He will do. So together, we told the Lord we are, because children are gifts from the Lord. So He hasn't given it to us. We are dedicating our childlessness into your hands. Now use it. And that was the beginning. And that was a turnaround. From that point on, God began to do something new. Young people were adopting us as their parents.
Yeah.
Do you understand me? We were not adopting them. They were adopting us as their parents.
Attracted to you, coming to you. So many people.
And because we also didn't have biological children, we had all the resources and the time to invest into these people, and to help people to get to the next level, to walk into their destiny and things like that. And now on Mother's Day, the last Mother's Day, my wife's 2 phones, the battery in them died by 10 a.m.
Wow.
The volume,
the messages,
the messages, the volume of calls. And now, so her phone she never puts off her phone because we have children in all over the world. And so when it is night here, it is morning somewhere. And so the children, and they know we can call home. We can call mom and dad. They will pick it. And it's been such a fulfilling thing. There is a quote in the Bible. It says, "More are the children of the desolate woman than she who had a husband." And that is what has been our lot. We've been blessed with more children than we would have had biologically.
So the gift, God has honored you as parents.
We are parents, yes.
God has honored you as parents, but I think
parents, grandparents, and things like that, and people who give birth and said, I'm naming this child after my father. I'm naming this child after my mother, and it is us.
Yeah. No, do you know what I find interesting is, of course, people think that having biological children is what makes you parents, but that's not the case at all. And especially for Africans, where culturally I won't say the tax, it's not necessarily a tax, but the behind is more.
Yeah.
There's, I know somebody, a friend of mine back in the UK, who's like, don't want kids, just want to live my life. And, it's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. But here it's almost like we see it as you are less than.
That's right.
And I just want you to, because people are watching right now who are going through what you and your wife have been through.
Yeah.
And maybe they haven't found that peace within themselves yet. What do you say to them?
Understand where that mentality comes from. Because once you understand something, it becomes easier to deal with it. And so quite often when people talk about the African culture, I love, and said, you are using the word culture to be lazy. You haven't done the necessary work of making a transition from one state of existence to the other. Do that homework. Now, children were a big deal, and especially male children.
Oh yeah, the sons. Oh yeah, sons.
Were a big deal. Why? Because we had the setting of wars, intertribal wars, intra-community wars. The more sons you had, the more soldiers you had. The more children you had, we were farmers. The more children you had, the more hands you had in the farm.
Yeah.
All right. So now, we don't have the inter-community wars. So Osu is not at war with Labadi. Labadi is not at war with Teshi. So why are we still celebrating sons over daughters? Because we haven't done the homework.
Yeah, it's become a norm.
Because of ignorance. We do not realize that. So we just go in with the past and go in wholesale. So once I understood that the cultural imperative was based upon that historical reality, it was easier to deal with it. So when people came and they were making noise, I knew where they were coming from. And once I knew where they were coming from, it was easier for me to deal with it. Plus, we had settled this with God. And once I knew that we have not been cursed, we did not need deliverance, because some people came, have you gone to deliverance and things like that? It was not an ancestral curse. All those things that we do to hold ourselves back. My wife and I could point to things, concrete things that are demonstrations and evidence of God's blessings for us. The couples we prayed for and they had children were there. So God had not turned his face from us. Now, if this God who is so with us and who would answer our prayer and give some families children is withholding children from us, he knows what he's doing. And we want to tap into his purpose. And his reasoning. And we want to cooperate with that purpose for our lives. And now we look back. I turned 66 this year. I'm 1 year older than my wife, so she's 65. We look back now. We look at all the young people whose lives have been transformed. We look now at the young people naming children after us. We look at all the parents who recognize us as the parents of their children. It's interesting. On more than one occasion, a young person goes to the family and says, I'm going to get married. I found the person I want to marry. I'm going to get married. And his parents' first answer is, have you told Uncle Ebo? This is his parents.
Yeah.
Say, yes, I've told Uncle Ebo. Has Uncle Ebo met the person? Say, yes. Does Uncle Ebo like the person? I say, yes, he does. Does he approve of the step you're taking? Yes, okay, then we don't have anything to say.
So
this is the biological parents of this person.
No, but you and your wife are bonus parents.
Yeah.
You're bonus. And that the gifting in that alone, this really touches me. And I just think it's important in for us to hear this. Because I do know some people who can't seem to get past the fact that I'm glad you mentioned curse. Because some people, and there will be other, as Christians, we know there'll be a bunch of pastors, quote unquote, that will be telling people, oh, it's curse, or somebody in your family is doing you. And it's important that you and your wife both recognize that in that God still has blessed you probably so much more and made you parents to so much more than if you'd had 2 or 3 biological children alone. We're almost coming to the end of that, but I want to talk about Encore.
Okay.
Encore, which is your program that you do.
The platform on Facebook.
Yes, platform.
Facebook for relationships.
Relationships. Your plays always have relationship as a drive through them.
Yeah.
Your books, relationships, and I'm sure it's a conscious decision.
Yes, it is.
Your social media. Why the importance of relationships that has driven your career? It's always been a drive, always through your career as a playwright.
Simple. You see your cameramen? They were taught to handle camera. They went to school for it.
Or self-taught, some of them.
Okay, but at least they learned.
Yes.
A driver learns to drive. A teacher goes to school, a doctor, an engineer, an accountant. The human being learns to do everything except marrying. There's no school.
That's so true. That's true.
We assume that once you're a human being and you're of age, you should be able to make a goal of your love relationship. Meanwhile, what happens in your love relationship drives everything else in your life. If you came in and you've had a bad day at home, they would all suffer for it. The program will suffer. You know, whether people will see you as a nice person or not depends on what is happening at home, especially from that significant person in your life. If it is not working, it's like your whole world is agitated. You know, so it is the one most important area of our lives. And in that one important area of our lives, we've decided you don't need any teaching. You don't need any training.
Okay.
Just go. Go. We think it should come naturally. It doesn't.
It's work.
It is work.
It's work.
It is work. And so when I identified that, I decided this is going to be my niche. That is one. The second thing, the second feature of my writings and my productions is the celebration of women. Again, I realized that based on some historical misconceptions, the average Ghanaian, and I'll talk only Ghanaian, I'm sure it's true with the average African, but the average Ghanaian has been socialized to disrespect women or to downplay the intelligence of women, the contribution of women, and all that. That is why we still celebrate the birth of a son over the birth of a daughter. And I tell people, if you do that, you've just shown you are either stupid or you are ignorant.
I like it.
Because
tell it as it is.
Because everybody can testify that they will pick their mother over their father.
Yes.
Especially when they are in trouble.
Well, that's true.
When they are in trouble,
That's true.
they know they can count on mommy more than daddy. Every father knows daughters are sweeter than sons. A daughter never leaves home. A daughter would always call and check up with the parents. Dad, mom, are you okay? How are things going? If your son marries and calls you, he's either in trouble, he's in need, or his wife has told him, call your parents because you haven't called them in a year.
Wow. I like that. Wow.
Because on his own, he was not going to call home.
Well, some men. I'm sure there's new range of more sensitive in touch men. I would like to think that now, the new African man.
Then they would have learned. But and we're talking about the default nature of a boy. We think that no news is good news. You know, so I'm in New York. My parents are in Ghana. Have you called your parents? Why? Are they in trouble? So they're okay. If they're not okay, they would let me know.
That's true. Okay.
They're not okay. It's the same reason why in marriage, men normally, traditionally, do not say I love you too often. Because I told you I love you at the beginning.
So you should know.
No, you should know.
It's for the rest of your life.
And I married you on the basis of that. And I haven't walked away from the marriage. So why are you doubting that I love you? I told you that from the beginning. You know, so I resolved that Ghana needs to recognize what a blessing the woman is. As a wife, as a sister, as a daughter, even as a staff. The level of commitment you get from the woman is often higher than you get from the men. Why are we not? Women are more intelligent than men. Why are we not celebrating that?
Repete before we're about to end. Repete.
Women are more intelligent than men. And this is not a Ebo Whyte saying. This is our culture saying. So if you don't know your culture, let me help you. You know, in the Ghanaian traditional context, the most powerful voice in the palace is not that of the king. It's that of the woman called Obahima, the queen mother. And when the council, the chief and his council, his advisors, cannot agree on any issue, we refer it to the Obahima. Why? Because we know she's wiser than all the men.
Wisdom.
She's wiser than all of them. And any man who recognizes the intelligence of women goes further, because you are not threatened when the women in your life make suggestions or they ask questions. You open to it, and then you become better. If you see a man who dresses well, there's a good woman in his life. Who, when he dresses, will say, wait, where are you going with that? No. Didn't you say you are going to Dominion TV? No, you can't go with that. Change.
Did Mommy Florence dress you today?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Now you step out and everybody say, oh, Uncle Bo dresses well. No, I don't dress well. There's somebody else who knows how to make me dress well. If only you honor her. Because if you don't honor her, then she will just take a look at you. And you know, you're a woman. You know how it is. A woman can keep her counsel to herself. You know, so she's going out and you are not in good terms with him. He's made you angry. You look at him. Go with your dumb self. You go.
Okay, last words before we are out of time. I can sit here all day if you allow me, just to pick just so much gems that I'm downloading, that you're offloading, as they say. Young people.
Yeah.
Young people. I know you work with a lot of them.
Yes, I do.
You know, you train, you groom, you mentor them. We mentioned earlier how back in the day, for people who wanted to get into this field, performing arts, theater, film, it wasn't the most recommended thing. That has changed. That has changed. What advice, in the short time that we have, I think I have a couple of minutes left, do you have for any young person? Maybe they're doing something right now, they're working or they're doing in school, but there's that passion within them for the arts, or it could be anything else. But there's a fear to heed to that voice, to follow into into what their calling is. What do you say to them?
Don't rush into it. Pay your dues. Serve others. What I realize is that the young people don't want to serve. Everybody wants to do something of their own. But you serve somebody, and that person will feel obligated to open doors for you. Just because you served him. So the person hangs around you, and I'm sure you've done that. If a young girl comes from national service and is serving you, one day you ask, by the way, so what do you want to do? Well, I want to do this. I want to do I want to do makeup. Oh, I have a friend. Let me give my friend a call.
I got you.
You've opened that door that she would never have had if she hadn't been associated with you. Young people must be aware of that.
The process.
There's always a process.
You won't get from A to Z straight away.
So pay your dues. Don't always ask, is there money? How much are you going to pay me? No, you go and serve. Because service will give you something that money won't be able to buy, and that is opportunity. That is a network. Because if you come and serve me, and I'm going somewhere, come, let's go. Eventually you get to know, because when I get to my destination and they are welcoming, meet so and so. Oh, by the way, he's a musician. So if you need a musician,
there you go.
There you are.
Access.
And because the introduction came from me, they don't scrutinize you as much, because the assumption is that I have scrutinized you. To have you that near to me, I have scrutinized you. So pay your dues. Look for people to serve. Service would always lift you up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So much gems. And thank you for being open to, not only share your successes, with not just us here, but through your work, through your plays, through your social media, being a voice that so many people need to hear.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Uncle
Welcome.
Ebo Whyte, for being on Inspire. Well, there you have it, Uncle Ebo Whyte. I've certainly been inspired, and I hope you've been too. My name is Amika Babrese, and I'll catch you.